Hi, welcome to the counseling video of the ridge analysis report of your child. Ru Education is my company, and we have been doing ridge analysis for since 2011, and we have got more than 30,000 satisfied parents who have got this test done for their children. We also specialize in preschool transformation projects, K-12 school transformation project, training, coaching, and consulting for corporate management, personal growth and relationships training and consulting. I'm an international spiritual and management trainer, coach, and consultant with an experience of more than 30 years. My specialization is children's brain development. I'm also a member of advisory board of Sangam University, Rajasthan. We have conducted over 4,000 workshops for MNCs, private and public sector corporates, financial and educational institutions, quasi-government and government bodies, both nationally and internationally. We have trained over 500,000 parents, teachers, trainers, professionals, executives, faculty members. I'm a senior disciple of Swami Sukhabodhananda, and I've also studied under various other great masters. I presume that you've got the regionalistic report of your child. Please keep a pen and a paper handy. The paper that I wanted to keep handy is the parents' guidance, regionalistic guidance sheet, along with the main report and a pen in your hand. Now, come to the page 2 of your report, and this is the picture you will see there. Brain has two hemispheres, left brain and right brain. From the front to the back, there are 5 clear portions on both the sides. This is the prefrontal portion, left brain prefrontal and right brain prefrontal. This is postfrontal portions. Behind this, in the center of the head, is parietal portions. In between the two ears are temporal portions. And behind the two eyes at the back, these are occipital portions. So 5 portions in the left brain and 5 portions on the right brain. Left brain 5 portions are connected to 5 fingers of the right hand. Right brain 5 portions are connected to 5 fingers of the left hand. Every single talent in every human being on the planet is controlled by one or the other of these 10 portions of the human brain. Wherever God gives more talent, in that part of the brain, neuron density will be higher, and the finger connected to that part of the brain will have higher fingerprint density, which means more lines on the fingerprints. Wherever the talent is less, God-given talent is less, the neuron density will be lesser, and the connected finger will have lesser number of lines on the fingerprints. So we can analyze, we can scan the fingerprints of the child and then analyze this data in the software of the brain, and we get a report which gives you these 3 critical informations. One, the strengths and weaknesses of the child. Every child has some strengths and some weaknesses. Second, the rate of brain growth. Every part of the brain grows at a different rate, and for every child it is different. And also the learning style of the child. Learning style, some children learn faster by seeing and reading. Some others learn faster by hearing. And some children learn faster by doing an activity. So with this critical information, then you can plan the activities to be done with the child for improving the weaknesses, for strengthening the strengths, for choosing higher studies, for making career choices. A lot of guidance, including parental guidance, will be available through this report in the coming few minutes to you. This report can be done for students of any school. It can be done for even adults from the age of up to the age of 60 years. Now, this is a sample report which is properly analyzed. Page 3 of your child's report also has a similar analysis for your child. Now, the numbers here and the numbers in your report will change, will vary. So I'll guide through this report, but you will have to understand the report from the numbers that your child's report has. So there are 2 areas of the brain on the left-hand side of the brain picture, and there are 3 areas on the right-hand side of the brain picture. The first area is the lower one on the left-hand side. This is prefrontal brain. So there is left brain prefrontal, which controls communication, planning, and execution. There is right brain prefrontal, which controls leadership, creation, and visionary qualities. So left brain is management talent, business management talent, and right brain prefrontal is business leadership talent. Postfrontal is the number two area of the brain, which is just above the prefrontal. And left brain postfrontal controls logical and language ability. This is the academics of schools and colleges. Logic means maths and science, and language means Hindi, English, Telugu, whatever other language you teach in schools. Postfrontal right brain controls spatial intelligence and creativity. Ability to use space intelligently, the way architects do or interior designers do. Uh, Good drivers understand space, direction, distance well. And creativity is the ability to generate new ideas to solve problems. Right side top is the third area of the brain, which is the parietal area. Left brain parietal controls fine motor skills, which means activities that we do with fingers. Writing, drawing, painting, art and craft, mehendi, rangoli, embroidery, all these things. And right brain parietal controls gross motor skills, which means the activities which we do with the whole body, like sports, games, dance, gymnastics, martial arts, yoga asanas, where the entire body is involved. On the bottom of the right side, you have the area number 4, which is temporal area in between the two ears. Left brain temporal controls auditory language comprehension. Simply speaking in layman's terms, it means the ability to hear and understand. And right brain temporal controls auditory and music appreciation, which in layman's terms means the ability to control your voice, the ability to speak and explain. Tonality, modulation, pace, pause, pitch, punctuation. The fifth area of the brain is in the center, in the middle of the right-hand side of the brain's picture. Left brain occipital controls observation, visual comprehension, the ability to observe and learn. And right brain controls visualization, the ability to visualize the future outcome from a current reality. This is a quality all designers have. So these are the 10 areas of the brain shown on the upper side of the third page of your report. The numbers given in each individual area, which may be different for your report, your child's report, represent the number of lines on the connected finger of each one of these brain areas. And TFRC below the brain picture means total finger ridge count. This is the total of all the 10 fingers put together, which in this case is 195.51. In your report, it may be different. It does not matter whether the TFRC number is less or more for any child. It's like saying somebody has a small nose or somebody has a big nose. Just because you have a big nose, it doesn't mean that you can smell more. So this is just a number like the height or the size of the nose of a person. But the use of this number is to understand the strength and weakness of the individual child. And how do you understand that? This TFRC is a total of the ridge count of all the 10 fingers. So when you divide this by 10, you get average per finger. In this case, that average is 19.55. If you see at the bottom of the report, the last two lines, in the middle, you have the letter A. That represents average. And under the letter A, you have the number 19.55 written. That number has been got by dividing this 195.51 by 10. So that is the average figure. And that may be different for your report. That number is written in your child's report also. Now, if 10 to 15% of children's reports may have some areas on the top 10 areas marked as X or X2 or X2.1, etc., in which case the number in that particular area of the brain will be either 0 or something very close to 0. There is nothing to worry there. What it means is this is an open fingerprint, and the potential of the development of this fingerprint is from 0 to infinity. And it completely depends on the parent and the school, and depends on the amount of exposure you give to the child in that area of the brain in the first 15 years. If you give less exposure, the growth will be closer to 0 or that number which is written there. If you give more exposure, the growth will be more. If you give very high exposure, the growth will be very high. If you give infinite exposure, the growth will be infinite. There is no minimum or maximum limit for that area. So if your report doesn't have X or X1 or X2.1 or 2, you don't have to worry. Your average will be drawn by dividing the TFRC by 10. But if, let's say, if you have one or two areas of X or X2 or X2.1, then that number, which is 0 or closer to 0, would be deducted from TFRC, and the resultant number TFRC that we get will be divided by the remaining number of fingerprints that are totaled. So if you have one area with 0, then 0 is deducted from 195.51 or your TFRC number, and that number will be then divided by 9. So your average will be not divided by 10, but we have divided by 9. If you have 2x or 2x.1, that number will be deducted from TFRC total, and that remainder will be divided by 8 to get the average. So just a word of caution for you to understand the average per finger of your child. Now, look at the lower two lines in the report which are printed in red color. From this average, 20% or greater than 20%, average plus 20% or greater than 20% is strength. So on the right side corner, bottom corner, you have that formula. A plus 20% or greater than that is S. S means strength. And that number is calculated and given there in your report also. For this report, that number is 23.46, which means 19.55. If you multiply by 1.2, you will get that number. And what it means for this report here is any finger having more than 23.46 lines, the connected brain portion is strong. If it is much more than 23.46, it will be written as S plus or S double plus or S triple plus or even a big bold S. If the number in the fingerprint is more than double or nearing double of the average figure. Average is 19.55 and a particular finger having something 40, nearing 40, that area will not be written as plus plus plus. It will simply be marked as a very bold capital S, which means it's a great strength. On the left hand bottom corner, you have average minus 20% is or less than that is weakness, W. W stands for weakness. So from this average of 19.55, when 20% is deducted, so that means average multiplied by 0.8, then that number is 15.64 for this report. And what it means is any finger having less than 15.64 lines, the connected brain portion is weak. If it is much more lesser than 15.6, the number will be written as W minus or W double minus or a very big capital W. So this is how the strength and weakness is understood. Average in this case, in this report is 19.55. Anything less than 15.64 is weakness. So between 15.64 and 19.55, we will call it as average minus. That's why the A minus is written in the middle. And between 19.55 and 23.46, we will call it as average plus. And that is why A plus is written between average and strength columns. More than 23.46 for this report is strength. Less than 15.64 for this report is weakness. This less than and more than value for your report is given in your report, and you will have to follow that value. I am explaining to you from this report, which is only a sample report. Now, the numbers given on top on both the sides of the brain picture are the a number of lines in each finger at the time of birth. These lines form between 13th to 18th week of pregnancy. And therefore, at the time of birth, these lines are already there. And they don't change from birth to death. It's just that the fingers become bigger So the distance between lines may change, but the pattern of the lines and the number of lines don't change from birth to death. So this at the time of birth, number of lines is given in the table below, above in the black color table, in the first line, first row. If you see just above that, it is written left brain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And on the right side is right brain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if you see left brain 1 and the number written below that, it's 24.32 here in this report, which you can see on the first left above, around on the left side of the brain picture. So one right there in that is 23.80, which is the leadership area. Right brain 1, first line here is 23.80. Similarly, on the top, second left is 17.25. So in this table below, left brain 2, first row shows 17.25. Right brain 2 shows 17.25 as well. And on top, if you see, second right is also 17.25. Like this, the third left, third right, fourth left, fourth right, and fifth left, fifth right are written in the first row in the black color. This is strength of brain cells at birth. The description on the left side says that. Because these are the number of lines on the fingers at the time of birth. The second row is BGF, brain growth factor. Brain grows in the first 15 years. And every part of the brain grows at a different rate. For every child, it is different. For this report, which I'm explaining to you as a sample report, the brain growth factor is given in the second row. So it's 20% in left brain 5, 27% in 4, 10% in left brain 3, 15% in left brain 2, 28% in left brain 1, 19% in right brain 1, 15% in right brain 2, 10% in right brain 3, 50% in right brain 4, and 20% in right brain 5 for this report. Your report in the second row may have different rate of growth for your child, right? The first line is talent distribution at the time of birth, God-given talent, innate talent. Second line is the rate of growth of each area of the brain for 0 to 15 years time period. 80-90% of this growth happens in the first 6 years. The remaining 10-20% happens from 6 to 15 years. Now, first line, first row multiplied by the second row in the same box gives you the value in the third row, which is performance at or after 15 years. And that is the figure taken for calculating the grading of each area of the brain using the formula which is given in the last row in the red ink, where average and weakness and strength is values are given. So therefore, for this report, and your report may have different grading, for this report, left brain 1 is S triple plus 31.13 is much more than 23.46. It's almost 50%, 60% more than the average. And therefore, it is graded as S triple plus. Right brain 1, which is the area of leadership, is graded as S double plus because the number there is 28.32, which is almost 40-45% more than the average. So it's graded as S triple double plus. Now, in this report, if I have to explain, I will say left brain 1 is management area. So management is super strong for this child. Leadership also is very strong, which is right brain 1. So when management and leadership both are strong, such a child will be a senior business leader. Or he'll be a senior leader in any area of his life, whatever he does. So for your report, if you have strength in these areas, it means the child is cut out to be a senior business leader. If no, then you have to do some activities to improve those areas. So if the child is 1 or 2 years of age, the activities will improve those areas very easily. If the child is already 6 years of age, about 15-20% improvement further can be done. If the child is already 14-15 years of age, now no further improvement is possible in the talent. But what you can improve is skills. Talent is a function of the brain. Skills is a function of the mind. Mind can be trained. So even if he's a weak leader here, according to the report, you can put him through leadership skills training, management skills training. Because performance in the real world is talent plus skills, brain plus mind, and that is the total performance. So after 15 years, if talent cannot be improved, skills can certainly be improved. So that is the way you address the growth in every area of the brain. So in the in the ridge analysis guidance sheet for first area of management and leadership, L1 and R1, you will have to write, depending on the age of the child, you have to give management and leadership challenges to the child. What are those challenges? You can request the school to make him a monitor in the class. Now, monitor is the leader of the class. He has to manage the class. So that's a management and leadership challenge that we are giving to the child's brain. You can request them to give him an opportunity to lead the assembly. You can request them, if there is a drama or a skit being planned in the school, he can be given the role of a leader or king. Others can be servants or subordinates. Now, even if he's playing the role of a king or a leader in the skit for a short while, he still has to use the leadership area of his brain to enact that role. At home, you can give the child small challenges, age-appropriate challenges. If the child is very small, you can give him a whole function to manage. That you will be the leader of this function. You decide who will do what, and you plan all the activities for today's Diwali function or today's Eid function or today's whatever function, a birthday party, whatever you have at home. Now, this way you can give management and leadership challenges to the child, depending on his age. And that will develop the leadership and management talents, L1 and R1 talents of the child. Coming to L2, logical and language ability. This is the area of academics. Now, this child here is A+. If the child is A+, it means if you don't improve this in the first 15 years, this child will end up getting 70-75% score, about 75% score when he goes to higher classes, 7th, 8th, 9th classes. Now, if your child is A- or weak here, then depending on the age, certain activities should be done to improve this area. What are those activities? Now, let's say, come to maths first. Logic means maths and science. So, maths. If the child is a newborn, 1.5, 2 years old child, put him through a maths training program through Kaushalya Genius Kid program online with dot cards. Dot cards, you can teach addition, subtraction, multiplication, division right from 7 months of age. And that will improve his mathematical logic. If the child is already 4 or 5 years age, you can put him through abacus or Vedic math or Kumon. Abacus is Japanese method of mathematical logic development. Vedic math is Indian method of mental mathematics, and Kumon is the Korean method. Whichever courses are available closer to your place, you can do this from 5 years of age, and that will develop the mathematical logic. The other aspect of logic is science. So, to develop science, you have to put him through encyclopedic knowledge course program in the Kaushalya Genius Kid program. If the child is young, 1 or 2 years of age, from 3.5 to 4 years of age, you can put him through chess. Chess is a highly logical game, and every time the child is making a move on the chessboard, he has to think logically, and is using that part of the brain. And therefore, that part grows. For brain development, there is only one rule. Brain grows by use. Whichever part of the brain you use more at an early age, that part will grow more. So that is the activity. And for the languages, there are three aspects. reading, writing, and speaking. For spoken language improvement, the track is listening, understanding, speaking. That's the way we learn to speak any language. In what is our mother tongue? When we are very young, everybody in the surroundings is speaking a particular language. And by watching that person, observing that person speaking a particular language, through the actions and the association of actions, the child begins to understand some words. And once he understands, he starts speaking. So listening, understanding, and speaking. That's the track of spoken language. That's why deaf children are dumb also, because they are deaf, they can't hear, therefore they don't learn to speak also. Now, the mistake most parents make is they speak to the child only in the mother tongue. So at home, there is only one language that the child is listening, and therefore he learns to speak only one language, and therefore the language ability grows only to the extent required for speaking one language. What we should follow is to decide how many languages the adults at home know to speak. If there are adults who can speak 4 or 5 languages, then the person who speaks the best English should speak to the child only in English. The person who can speak best Hindi should speak to the child only in Hindi. The person who can speak the best Telugu or Marathi or Gujarati or Punjabi should speak to the child only in that language. The best language that each adult knows to speak, if he speaks to the child in that language, you're training his brain to learn to speak in 3, 4, 5, 6 languages. And therefore, the language ability of the brain will grow to that extent. If there are only husband and wife, mother and father at home, and they know 4 languages between themselves, then mother should take 2 and father should take 2. Mother should speak one language in the morning, one language in the evening. Father should speak a third language in the morning and a fourth language in the evening. One person should speak only one language at one time. That's the rule. So, that is the spoken language. For reading and writing, the track is reading, understanding, writing. When you read a particular language, your brain begins to understand how this language is written, and therefore your written expression in that language improves. So therefore, start with a reading program in Kaushalya Genius Kit program if the child is very young, 1 or 2 years young. If he's 4, 5, 6 years of age, then give him reading materials, small story books on a subject in which he's interested, in a language that you want to improve in his writing and reading. So if the child is interested in, let's say, cricket, his age is 6 years, give him small books in cricket. In which language? The language that you want to improve in his reading and writing. That's the rule. So this is how you improve reading, writing, and speaking language area. This is the way to improve academic area, second left. Second right controls spatial intelligence and creativity. Now, depending on the age, the activities for this area will change. If the child is very small, 1.5 years, you start with scribbling. As the child grows and he learns to scribble, then give him coloring. In coloring, you are asking him to scribble within a limit, a limited figure, within limited boundaries. So that requires more control on the fingers. So next activity is coloring. After coloring comes drawing, and then painting, and then art and craft. And then if you're a girl, mehendi, rangoli, embroidery, and finally calligraphy. So from 1 year to 15 years, these are the gradation of activities for improving spatial intelligence and creativity. Same activities also improve third left fine motor skills, because these are all activities done with fingers. So they also improve finger control, which is fine motor skills. The same activities also improve fifth right, which is visualization. So R5, L3, and R2 activities are same, which I just described. So you need to write down the activities that you need to do with your child on the ridge analysis guidance sheet in these R2, L3, and L5 areas, depending on the age of the child. Now coming to the right side of the picture, third left is fine motor skills, which means the ability to control your fingers. Now, if the child's fine motor skills score in the third line, performance at or after 15 years, is graded as weak, the child's handwriting may not be very good. So you need to give him handwriting classes to improve his handwriting and control over fingers. Right? Third right, if the child is graded as, depending on what the gradation is, weak or average or strong, this means in dance and sports, the child will be good. Dance, of course, also involves fourth left, which is hearing ability. So sense of hearing for musical notes. But sports doesn't involve that fourth left. So third right, if it is average or less than average or A plus, then this cannot be a career. Sports cannot be a career for this child. So what you need to do is to just give him enough exposure to sports and dance, etc., to improve his ability to handle failure, improve teamwork, improve uh, social interaction with his teammates, the ability to work with teams, etc. So that is third right. Fourth left is auditory comprehension. If this is strong, or you want to improve this because it's not so strong, then fourth left is the ability to hear and understand. So children who are strong in this area, like in this report, they will understand saptaswaras very well. They will understand sound vibrations very well. They'll remember any sound which they hear for a long time. So to further improve this area, 24/7 music should be played at home. Shlokas, bhajans, geet, ghazal, religious hymns, melodious music. Constantly, if you play in the background at home, children will develop the ability to understand music very well. And then to develop it further, you can also give them training to sing, singing training. From 5 years of age, you can start this. This will develop the fourth left, hearing ability, listening ability. Fourth right is the ability to speak and explain. So for this to develop, the first activity, of course, is singing, because in singing you use musical understanding and also control over voice. After that, about 7-8 years age, you can train the child for acting. Send them to drama classes and train him for acting. They do a lot of voice training, body language, expressions, etc. So that improves the communication of the child. It removes the stage fear from the child, and he will develop this ability. At about 10-12 years of age, you can teach him communication classes or public speaking classes. These are the activities to develop fourth right. Now, one word of caution here for you to understand your child's report properly. If your child is good in management, which is left one, leadership, which is right one, and also good in fourth right, which is the ability to speak, communicate, convince, motivate, inspire people. And with all these three strengths, he is also a shy child or a reserved child. You will find that these great talents which he has will never be seen outside until you remove this shyness. So how do you remove this shyness? 4 activities which I have explained so far will remove the shyness. One activity is dance. Second activity is singing. Third activity is acting. Fourth activity is public speaking. These activities, if you put the children through at the right, lowest appropriate age, these are activities of self-expression. That gives confidence to the child to express himself. And only then leadership and management talents can be seen outside. So up to fourth right, I have explained. Now fifth left is observation. So fifth left improves by showing them cards, the activities. If they are very young, showing them reading cards, dot cards for maths program, encyclopedic knowledge cards for improving encyclopedic knowledge of the child. These cards at early childhood, from maybe 1 year to 6 years, 8 years, these cards will improve the observation. If the child is beyond 6 or 7 years, then you have to give him observation games. Observation games, you see two pictures, similar pictures in a newspaper or a magazine, and they tell you to find out 10 differences between these two pictures. Now, this is an observation game because you have to observe closely to find out those 10 differences. So that is the kind of games you have to give for improving fifth left observation. Fifth right is visualization. If you want to improve the visualization area of the child's brain, then I've already told you the activities are drawing, painting, art and craft, mehndi, rangoli, embroidery if they are girls, calligraphy, etc. One more visualization exercise you can do for the child to improve his visualization. Ask him to focus his eyes on any object on the opposite wall, which is about at an angle 20% higher than the eyes. And in that picture, without blinking the eyes, he should observe the picture closely for 30 seconds. Absorb all details, all colors, all shapes, all sizes of the picture that is there on the wall. 30 seconds without blinking. And then he should close the eyes without shaking his head and try to recreate that picture in his mind, visualize that picture in his mind for the next 30 seconds. Recreate all the colors, all the sizes, all the drawings, all the shapes that he saw in that picture. So 30 seconds of observation without blinking his eyes, 30 seconds of visualization after closing his eyes. This improves visualization. So these are the various activities that you can do with your children. Depending on their age, you have to choose the appropriate activity. And this is what you need to write in the L1 to R5, 10 rows of actions to be taken in the ridge analysis guidance sheet. Before I move to that guidance sheet further, there is one more thing that I need to explain to you. And that is in the first area of the brain, if you see in this picture, it is showing W2, W2, two letters there. W represents whirl. Whirls means the ability, the chakras. And since this first area of the brain is connected to two thumbs, what this picture says is this child has got chakras on the two thumbs. Such a child will be very individual thinker. He will do what he thinks is right. And if he's doing something wrong, you cannot change him by shouting at him or beating him or putting him through some mental torture. He will not change. He will not listen. He will do what he thinks is right. The parenting guidance for such a child is you have to reason out and convince him by reasoning. You will have to give him reasons why what he's doing is wrong. What will be the wrong impact of what he's doing? How many people have done like this? Give him examples and what damage they have suffered. Similarly, also tell him by reasoning why what you are telling him to do is right. What is the positive impact? And how which people have benefited by doing such things. So by giving him reasons and convincing him of why what he's doing is wrong and why what you're telling is right, if he's convinced, he will change his mind and he will change his behavior. Because he will do what he thinks is right. That is the nature of the child. So that is the parenting style you must adopt. Now, instead of W, if he has else, like he's got in the second area, he's got in this particular report, he's got LL in the second area. If those L's are there in the first area, personality is guided only by the thumbs. So the first area, if you have two L's there in the report of your child, now this means this child is an impressionable child. Impressionable means what? Wherever he spends the most of his time, with whoever he spends the most of his time, he will draw his images, his impressions from that person. So that person's lifestyle, that person's habits, that person's choices, that person's way of speaking, all that will slowly impress this child and he will tend to become like him. So the care that parents should take for such children is they must ensure that he is in the company of good children always. because if he's with good children, he will learn good things faster. They must also take more care to ensure that he's got good values he learns from his childhood. So even if he's with the wrong person and that person is doing something wrong for a short time, he's with him, he will not learn it because his value system is against that. So therefore, teach him good values. This is the little parental guidance that you must take from this report by observing the first area, thumbs or fingerprints. Now, coming to the ridge analysis guidance. Actions to take from L1, R1, L2, R2 for all the areas I have explained in my previous slide. Those actions to take, you are writing from there. Parenting guidance, you are writing from there. Some more of parenting guidance will come from the 7th page of that report, this report, which I will tell you. Now, higher studies. What are the higher studies? Options for this child. So if the child is good in management and leadership, which is L1 and R1, if he's strong there, then obviously he should do MBA from a very good university. If he's also good in L2, or if he becomes good in L2 by doing all the things which I have recommended here, and when he goes to 8th or 9th, his marks are high, 95% and above, and he's also strong in L1 and R1 management and leadership. This combination, academics, management and leadership, if all are strong, he is a good candidate for civil services, UPSC or state PSC examinations. That should be your option 1. Option 2, plan B, if he's strong in L2, which is academics, then you have to see in which subjects is more strong. If he's strong in maths, engineering is an option. Chartered accountancy is an option. Pharma is an option. Medicine is an option. If he's strong in science, medicine is an option. Pharma is an option. If he's strong in maths, chartered accountancy or engineering is an option. And if he's strong in languages, then language studies is an option. So that is the higher studies guidance for L2. If he's strong in R2, then architecture, interior design is a good option. If he's strong in R5, which is visualization, any type of design is an option. It can be games design, it can be jewelry design, it can be textile design, it can be fashion design, it can be machines design, website design, graphic design, all those options if R5 is strong, right? If R3 is strong, which is the area of sports, then you can choose sports as an option. And this child can be put through sports training, special sports training. If 4th left and 4th right both are strong, singing is an option. If 4th left is very strong only, and 3rd left is also strong, which means control over fingers is also strong, then musical instruments, music can be an option. If 4th right is very strong, then his speaking ability is very good. He can be a good teacher, good lecturer, good trainer, good marketing man. And if observation and visualization are strong, if L4, L5 and R4, R5, all 4 are strong, then acting is a good choice for such a child because his absorption of sound and light and his reproduction of sound and light, delivery of sound and light is, which means dialogues and acting, both are very strong. So such child can be a very good actor also. If L2, which is logic, L1, which is communication, and R4, which is the ability to speak, all 3 are strong, law can be a very good choice. Right? Now, this is where you select the higher studies. This is how you select the higher studies. The page 5 of this report also gives you a graph on what are the possible higher studies for this child, but I don't want you to give too much importance there because that takes only the 3rd row numbers. First row is child's talent at birth, 2nd row is growth factor, and 3rd row is performance at or after 15 years. So if only those numbers are taken, then the report, the guidance may not be all correct because if parents have taken actions or if school has taken actions, or if you put him through courses which improve his brain, that second line brain growth factors improved, third line numbers would have changed, and the page 5 of this report does not know that. Therefore, I don't want you to take that page 5 very seriously. That's theoretical as per the report, theoretically. But you have to observe his scores, his performance in all these areas after you have done all the activities. What is the growth the child has achieved? And according to that, by seeing his scores and his performance when he's in 8th or 9th standard, then you must choose the higher studies as per the guidance I've just given. And of course, the career choices also have to be in line with his higher studies. When children have some talent and you grow that talent with right higher studies in that area and teach him all the skills of that talent and make a career choice in that area. When your talents, your higher studies and career choices are aligned, then you are able to do that job much better than others. And that is what makes you successful in that particular area of life. Parents make a mistake. They try to understand what is the right field growing today in the world. Which field has got more scope in the world? That's a wrong guidance. Any field may be growing more, but is my child right for that field? If he's right for that field, he can take advantage of that growth that is happening in the world, in that area. But if he's not right for that field, then parents have two choices. Either make him right by improving that talent in his brain before the age of 15 years, or choose the other field which is right for him according to his own natural innate talent profile. That is the right parenting guidance. Page 4 of your report gives you the understanding of the learning style of the child. Now, in this particular report, if you see, visual is 34.02%, auditory is 37.73%, and kinesthetic learning, which is through activities, is only 28%. Now, what this means for this child is, if this child tries to learn something through an activity, he will not learn fast. His learning is more audio-visual, and in that also more audio, more by listening. So, the study suggestions for him are given on the left side. For auditory children, the study suggestion is read out loud. He should read, whatever he's reading should be loud. He should be seeing, he should also be hearing. Because when information goes through the ears, this child learns better. He should include whole group discussions, which means if he doesn't understand a particular concept, he should discuss it with friends or with teachers or with parents. Because in discussion also the information goes through the ears and therefore he learns it faster. And he should watch audio visuals for study purpose. In your report, if kinesthetic is more, activity learning is more for your child, then walk while studying, hold the book in your hands, which means body has to be used while reading, illustrate your ideas by drawing maps, etc. So these are study suggestions for different types of learning styles of the children. This is the 5th page where I said it tells you the suggestion for your career graph, but don't take it very seriously. You will have to account for the second line, brain growth factor. What are the changes that have happened in the third line in his performance because of the efforts taken by the child himself or his teachers in the school or his parents at home or the other training programs that you have put through the child? The third line may have changed. Therefore, choose the higher studies and career choices on the numbers that you observe in his performance. Page 6 gives you a general understanding of the left brain and the right brain dominance of the child. The left brain here is 51.13%. In your report, it may be different. Right brain is 48.87% here. Left brain is generally logical. Right brain is emotional, creative. So this gives you a general understanding of whether the child is more logical or more emotional. If he's more logical, put him through emotional training programs. If he's more emotional, put him through more logical training programs, and that will balance his brain as he grows. This is just for you to understand your child a little better. And on the last page of the report, you have a multiple intelligence profile. This is for the school to decide the activities that they can put through every child, depending on this profile. And the lower half of the page is a disc profile of the child to tell you about the personality of the child. So there are two things there, primary personality and secondary personality. Primary personality means what you are internally, innate as a person. And secondary personality means how you come across in your behavior with other people. In this report, both the primary and the secondary personalities are dominant. And dominant is on the top of the left-hand side. So that is the box that applies to this child in his personality. This child is a goal-oriented and visionary child, bold, determined, inborn leader, rigid, aggressive, independent, decisive, risk-taker, likes challenges, direct, straightforward communicator, natural achiever, go-getter, and a controller. The report of your child may show his personality to be different. You will have to take the appropriate box to understand the child's personality, and little bit of parenting guidance you should take from here. For example, if your child in one of the two areas, primary or secondary, is compliant. Now, compliant report, if you see the fourth line, fourth item, fourth bullet point, it says takes longer time to take a decision, which means you will have to put him through a decision-making program when he gets into his professional career. That's not necessary during the student days, because during the student days, most of the decisions are being taken by the parents. But when he's getting into business or profession, then he should go through a decision-making program. That will help him to make decisions. Decision-making skills will improve. If your child has influential as one of the areas, then first point is unlimited potential but conservative. He's got infinite potential, but he needs infinite exposure for that infinite potential to be developed. So as a parent, if your child has an influential area in his desk profile, then you must go on exposing him in those areas which are X or X2 or X2.1 in his report on the third page. The more you expose him in that area, the more he will grow in that area. So this is how you understand your child's report, which is sent to you already. And if you need further guidance on this report through a video conference, we can do that, but you'll have to take a prior appointment. There are no charges for any further guidance up to a period of 1 year. And where do you have to contact for an appointment? These are the contact details. If you want an appointment for your child's further understanding of the report, or you want any of your friends or relatives to do this report, or even if you want a relationship training for yourself or anyone else. In fact, relationship training is a very beautiful training. Anyone who is just engaged or just married, if they go through this training, they'll never have a divorce in their life. I can guarantee you that. So there are several other proficiencies which we have got in our training bouquet. If you need any one of those, you can find it out from our website, kaushelyageniuskid.com, or you can contact the number given here. Even for the further guidance of your child's report, this is the number for appointments. Thank you.